Hello everyone, this is Shadrach. With another Mukbang philosophical. This time about revenge. Revenge is a very interesting concept because we always want to get back at those that hurt us. We can't simply forgive and forget because we just want to let the pain marinate in our souls. It's like none of us can let go of anything. We're more adept at holding on to things that are bad than are good because we always want to get back at the person that wronged us. Because it seems that no matter what we do in the way of making peace, we can't accept peace from other people because we always want to feel justified in our anger and our revenge. I mean, it's understandable on both ends because people always try, they want to rationalize their anger, rationalize the suffering that they've endured. In some cases, it is understandable. In some cases, it is, understandable. But then there are times where simple, petty things just really need to be let go. I mean, if someone, called you an idiot, or did something in the heat of anger, why are you holding on to that kind of a grudge anyway? I mean, who hasn't done something in the heat of anger? I mean, we all have made mistakes, but we always want to feel that we can just justify holding on to something petty, like, oh, he said this, or she did that. And it's, upsetting. Because people, when are they going to let go of certain petty things? I mean, there's more important things in the universe right now than someone holding on to a grudge. I try not to hold on to grudges. The reason being is that, let me just tell you an anecdote about myself. May 2nd, 2014, my mom died. My mom, whom I loved very dearly, taking her last breaths in hospice care was not a pleasant experience. But at least my brothers and my dad and myself were there to say goodbye, so I guess you could say I was at the right place at the right time in that regard, though I didn't like the events there within. But the one important thing that my mom taught me in her death, because my mom taught me a lot of things, but the one important lesson I learned from her is that one day we all die. In fact, I've seen death before. But it was my mother's death that really drilled in the reality of death. That at any second, and at any time, we could all be dead. And the Grim Reaper doesn't care how old or how young you are. You all die one day. That's why I've started to, I usually give myself anywhere from 1 or 2 days to a whole month to be angry about something. And then I just let it go. I mean, there are times it'll still stew with me, but what's the point of holding on to a grudge? If I can't fix it, if you're not willing to fix it, if you're not willing to forgive, then what's the problem? Then that problem's on you. I mean, I've always forgiven my enemies for what they've done to me. Because I don't see the need to hold on to a grudge. But another thing about death is that death, the cessation of life, helps us to better appreciate the small moments of joy and happiness. Because, yes, life has its tragic moments, but at the same time, life has its beautiful moments. And that's what we celebrate. But in the times of tragedy, there are moments of joy. But in times of joy, there are times of tragedy. So, to describe life in one word would be bittersweet. Because, for example, let's take, for example, when a parent sees their child go off to school for the first time. It's joyful to realize that the child is going to start school, but they also realize that the parent realizes that the child is no longer a baby. The same can be said for the bittersweet experiences of graduation. The child has completed their schooling. The child has accomplished 12 years of schooling. But the bitter part about it is the child is now going out into the world. The child is now going to learn the lessons of the real world if they've not learned them in school. If that makes any sense. Or how about a marriage, a wedding? The sweet part about the wedding ceremony is that you have two people that are in love with each other that are going to start their lives together. But the bitter part about it is that you have two sets of parents giving away their children to start their own lives. And that's just the thing about it. How about in childbirth? Pregnancy and childbirth, the bittersweet moments. The sweet parts about pregnancy and childbirth is a loving couple is going to have a baby, a loving couple's starting their own family. But the bitter parts about it is that the mother goes through bodily changes, the father goes through lifestyle changes. In fact, both parents go through lifestyle changes. And things like that. Having a job. The sweet moment is you're finally working, you're finally getting some money, you're finally learning some experience. But the bitter part about it is you got to deal with the general public, you got to do what the bosses tell you to do, and you have to learn to show respect to those that are higher in rank than you. How about joining the military? The sweet moments, is that someone's finally standing up for the call to fight for their country, and they're going to do something extraordinary with their lives. And they're going to travel the world, depending on what branch they're part of, or be part of a family, a second family, of men and women who have signed up for their country's calling. The bitter parts about it is that you leave family and friends behind, and that you also, may go off to war, and you're basically do as you're told or you're dead. That kind of thing. How about something that doesn't involve people? How about building a house? The sweet parts about the bittersweet experiences building a house is you're going to have your own place to live. You're finally going to have a place of your own. And you're finally going to have your own life. But the bitter parts about it are you had to clear off, some woods or a field, and you got to pay bills, and if something breaks, you got to fix it. Or depending on how you may sign your marriage and everything, your marriage, what you did with your marriage in the way of prenup or postnup, you may end up selling it. Or you may end up selling it because you may move, or you may lose it, depending on what happens, be it a fire or a flood or whatever. So in a sense, or how about pets? Because pets, in a sense, like I said before in a previous video, they teach us responsibility, but they do die. And I went on earlier trying about that in my previous video. But back on topic in this video about the bittersweet experiences of life. The bittersweet experiences of life, and that's what life really is. The bittersweet, in fact, I'm going to just leave it here. Life is a bittersweet experience of tragicomic elements. And that is how I look at life. And if anyone wants to know the meaning of life, here it is right here. Do the best you can with what you're given. Some have more than you. Some have less than you. But in the end, it's what you do with the time you're given that counts. That's all I can say about this video. Now, the bittersweet experience with a sandwich is this. The sweet part about it is getting the materials together to make a wondrously nutritious meal to eat, and it was beautiful building it. Even eventually consuming it. But the bitter part about it is knowing that when I'm done eating it, it'll be gone. But think about all the hard work that went into creating the wheat to grow the bread, or the animals that went into the ham and the cheese. Regardless of how you may feel about certain things. One thing is for certain, the end results is worth the hard work. Now here's another thing I want to discuss. Friendship. It's amazing how 1 second, two people could love each other in a platonic type of way, in a platonic, non-sexual way, and look out for each other's best interests and show admiration and love and support. And then one day, something happens, and the two people are like random strangers. It's like 1 second, they had each other's backs. 1 second, the entire world was each other. And then, all of a sudden, it's like they died. It's like someone died in their life. It's like they're dead to you and you're dead to them. Someone once said to me, he put it to me like this: people come and go in your life, but you wake up with yourself every morning. I mean, that's just how life goes. And you never know when your last day is going to be here. I wonder how many of the people back on April 10th, 1912, who boarded Titanic, if they knew that in 5 days' time, it would strike an iceberg, and 7 out of 10 people would perish, would they still have boarded that ship and sailed across the big blue sea? How about 9/11? If people who went to work on September 11th, 2001 knew that very morning that an airplane would crash into their office building, into the World Trade Center, how many people do you think would still have gone to work anyway? How about the Oklahoma City bombing of 1995? If they had known in the F. Murray building that Timothy McVeigh would drive up with a rental truck rigged with explosives and blow up that building, how many people do you think still would have gone to work that day? Or how about all the shootings that we've had as of late? All the people being shot and killed in these shootings, and that's another topic for another day. Gun rights and gun control, that's another topic for another day. But imagine if the people knew that very day that they would be shot and killed. Would they still have gone? That's the thing about life. We don't know. You could be watching this video and you could fall over dead. Be it some brain aneurysm, a heart attack, blood clot, being shot and killed, or murdered. I could drop dead before this video ends. You never know. In fact, the videos and photographs of people moments before their death is very tragic. Because that was the last time they were alive. A true anecdote about myself. I had two co-workers die within a week of each other. And the first co-worker, a guy named Rudy, because I was eating something here. A guy named Rudy, and he walked, I came into work, he was getting off work because, my line of work, it's a 24-hour job. And Rudy was completing his shift. And he said, "Nah, I got some stuff to deal with. I'm just not feeling good. I'll try and, get well as I can because I got a new swimming pool being built." That Friday, my boss calls me up and says, "Hey, Rudy's dead. He got too sick and he died." Very tragic. Then, it was on a Tuesday, that following week, on a Tuesday, I saw my friend Dale. He was an older guy. And he asked me about, things going on at my church and how's everything in the neighborhood where I live. And I said, "It was fine." And I went about and, spoke to him for a bit, just how he was doing. The next day, I'm at work, and one of my supervisors says, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And I said, "What's going on?" And the supervisor in question told me that Dale had died that morning. That was the next day. I last had my conversation with Dale on a Tuesday, but it wasn't until Wednesday morning that he called that I got word that he had died. So, and this happened, and Rudy had died that past Friday. I'm like, wow. It was like I was upset because I lost two friends within a week of each other. And it's just hard to fathom. 1 second, someone's alive and someone's great, and they're full of health and vigor. Vigor, by the way, means, which is Vigor, in case anyone wants to know. Is another way of saying energy. A fancy way of saying energy, vitality, whatever, things like that. Or is it Vigor? I don't know. Who knows? Well, words are very strange. That's another video I'm going to do. But anyways, here's something to consider. 1 second a person could be full of life and enjoying themselves. Next second, they could be dead. That's an interesting thing to think about. That's why I try not to hold grudges or to hate people too much. I don't hate people. I try not to hate people. I can only hate what you did. But I don't want to hate you as a person. Because you're a fellow human being. Well, anyways, what do you think about all this? This is Shadrach, signing off.